Okay, so welcome back again then, guys. Right, in this video we're just going to look at files, so in particularly, well, how to write to files. Now that's going to include both the write mode and also append mode. Right, then we're also going to look, well, once we've written those files, how we can read from them, or how we can read from an existing file. Right, and then once we've done that, then finally we'll just look at the random files. Now again, this one will actually only be for A-level. So if you're doing IG, you can kind of skip this random file things, if you want. Because, well, here we're going to look at the seek, right? So kind of going to a specific position in this file, right? Then also how we can put record, so how we can, sort of put data at that position. Then also how we can use get record, so to, well, basically read data from that position in the file. However, yeah, so if you are doing IG, right, you will still need to know these. Alright, so I guess, yeah, with that getting said, well, again, let's just jump in. So the first one then, we just want to use WRITEFILE to write 100 random numbers in the range 1 to 100. So first what I'm going to do, I'm just going to declare, and let's say this, maybe let's call this file name, and let's say this is going to be of type string. Right, because, well, we could do it with, without declaring file name, but then we would have to like hard code this basically every time we want to access this file. Both for kind of opening, sort of, reading, writing, and then also closing. Right, so let's just say here file name, and let's probably just call this numbers. I think numbers.txt. Right, and I mean this we can give any extension. We can even have no extension if we want. But yeah, I'm just going to call it numbers.txt. Right, then what we can do, let's say here then we just want to go open file, and then what we say, well, we say the file name. Now, I mean, again, here we could literally just go, okay, let me move that. We could literally just go numbers.txt like this, and yeah, let me just zoom in a little. Alright, maybe it's a bit too small. Okay, yeah, again, we could hard code the file name like this. However, since we've created this variable, well, yeah, let's just use this. Right, then we just say for, and then here is going to be the type, or I suppose, well, the file mode. Now, there's actually going to be three. We've got write. Okay, so you see write, this is going to be a file mode. Right, we've also then got read. Again, this is also, a different file mode. Right, we've also got append. Again, yeah, file mode. And I suppose, also random. Right, that's going to be another file mode. Now, in this particular example, well, let's just use write, because, well, we just want to use the simple one to basically kind of write each, let's say to write each bit of data on a new line, basically. So, I mean, in fact, well, let's just test this first. So let's just then go WRITEFILE. Right, so I mean, this won't output 100 numbers, but let's just try. Right, then we're going to say the file that we want to write to, and then let's just say hello. And yeah, let me just copy this, right, and then we'll just say world, so just a simple hello world program. Now, if we run this, right, you'll see we actually get a small error, although this should work. Okay, so you see here, right, we get this numbers.txt, and we get the lines hello world. However, we do get this warning, right, so warning numbers.txt was not closed. Right, then it tells us to use close file. So we can do that here if we just go close file and then just the file name. And then, yeah, if we run that again, and let's just modify it just so we can see the changes. Okay, so here you see, well, we get hello, and again, with the new content. And of course, since we've used close file, well, then we don't get this warning message. Now, the thing to note is that if we're using write, then this, I mean, I don't necessarily want to say delete the old file, because, I mean, maybe that's not technically correct. But basically it's going to overwrite the old data. So yeah, I mean, any data in the original file is just going to be lost. All right, so basically it's going to be a new file. Now, that's in contrast to, let's say, if we used append. Now, if we used append, and let's just go maybe 1, 2, 3, and yeah, let's try 4, 5, 6. All right, so what this will do is, well, this will then append it, right, to these lines underneath. So it's going to keep the original data, right, then it's just going to add it at the end. Right, so if we just run this, and yeah, okay, here we go, we can see this. Alright, so let's then try, and again you can pause the video if you want to have a go at this. We just want to write 100 random numbers between, 1 to 100 in this range. So I think what we can do, let's just delete this, and then what we'll have is, let's just have a for loop, and we'll go n, right, this can be 1 and then to 100. Right, and then let's just go write file, and again let's go file name, alright, and then this will be the data that we want to write. So I'm just going to say, right, let's convert this to an integer, because, well, this rand will return a real number. Right, so here then we want to say 100. However, the problem is this, again, well, this will get the range, right, 0 to 99. Right, but what we want is 1 to 100. So in order to do that, well, we can either go +1 here like this. So yeah, like before we convert it to an int. Right, I mean, or, hang on. Yeah, I mean, or we can just go +1 like this, right, it's going to be the same. I mean, the only thing, right, don't do the +1 in here because, well, this is not going to work. And the reason that's not going to work is because, well, this will actually get the range 0 to 100, right? Well, I guess, well, in particular, sort of 0 to, 100, 999. But then because we're converting it to an int, right, we're just going to be deleting, basically deleting the real part. Yeah, so I mean, that's going to get 0 to 100, right, but we want the range 1 to 100. So yeah, let me just undo some of these changes. Alright, so I think this one should work, and if we just try and run this, and yeah, let me also remember to close file. And yeah, okay, and sorry, let's just make this right again. Yeah, and I mean, I think that works. And alright, I mean, yeah, so here we even get 100. Now, did we get a 0? No, I think we didn't. Yeah, okay, so this works. So we get a 1 and we get 100, right, because we've got this +1. Right, okay, so I think that's fine. Let's say we just want to adapt this to write the uppercase alphabet. So this one, we can basically just do the same thing, right, but we just need to think, well, we need to think of the ASCII codes. So I'll let you think, right, what is the ASCII code for big A and then also big Z? Right, so hopefully you remembered, big A is actually going to be 65. Now, to be honest, I mean, if you forget, like, you could technically just do this. Let's go ASCII of big A, right, and then we'll say, well, go to ASCII of big Z, right, because you think, well, this is a function and it's going to return an integer. So this will just return 65. Yeah, this will then return 90, right, because we just plus 25. Likewise, going from small a, right, small a would be 97, and then small z would be 122. So again, yeah, plus 25. And then I guess the data we want to write, well, let's say CHR, and then we just want to go n, okay, because again, CHR, well, CHR of 65, that's going to convert either the ASCII or Unicode, right, into the actual character. I mean, right, let's actually just make this a new one. Now let's call this like alphabet. And yeah, I mean, we can keep this at right, that's fine. And yeah, okay, so A and, oops, yeah, okay, so A to Z, right, that's fine. Now, let's say the next task, well, we just want to use append. So maybe, for example, we made a mistake or we forgot, right, and we just want to append something to the end of this file. So in order to append the lowercase letters, right, we can just change this to append, and yeah, let's just scroll down, right, and in fact, I'm actually just going to use the actual numbers, so let's go 97, and this will be 122, and I mean, yeah, here this should just work. So if we just run this, and yes, we get big Z, right, and then it just immediately goes to A. Yeah, so I think that's fine. Right, okay, and right, so this one, if we look at this next task, well, we just want to write some names and scores on different lines. So, I mean, well, yeah, let me just show you. So you can also just go new file here like this, and maybe we can call this scores. Let's also say .txt. Now this was one of the previous exam questions, right, in the A-Level, I think paper 4 this was in. But for example, they have something like this, where they have, let's say, the player 1, right, then they have, you know, player 1 score, right, then they have, say, player 2, right, then they have, you know, player 2 score. So basically each of them are going to be on different lines like this. So yeah, let's actually create a program just to generate a file like this. Now, of course, we can just go OK, right, that's going to create it. And then, you know, if we say make the changes here, let's go 789, right, then you see, well, we will get this message saying that we updated the file. So yeah, of course, we can also manually update the files here. All right, and then if we want, well, we can delete them by pressing this, right, or yeah, we can also go delete all, right, to delete all the files. If we want to open it in a new tab, well, we can press this, and if we want to save or download the file, right, yeah, we can just press these. Yeah, but anyway, well, let's just delete this because, well, we want to try and do it manually. All right, now even though we've deleted it here, I mean, yeah, I guess we can also delete it here as well. Right, okay, so yeah, let's say then we just want to have some names. So I'm actually going to make an array of names, and let's say this can go 1 to 5. Right, so what we'll then have is, well, we'll have an array of 5 names. Right, so if you remember how to do this, well, we say array, right, the starting index can be 1, the ending index can be 5. Right, then we just say of, and this will be of string. Okay, there we go. Right, and then again, I mean, let's assign it using the way that Cambridge prefers. So if we just go names1, and yeah, and then maybe let's say Harry. Right, and then we can go, yeah, I don't know, maybe, yeah, let me try and spell this. All right, and then maybe let's go, yeah, I'm just trying to think of some names here. I'm not very creative. All right, and then yeah, let's see who else. All right, yeah, so I guess we've just got 5 names here. I mean, honestly, I'm not very creative, so yeah, there might be some people that, you know, recognize where these names come from. And I guess, yeah, if you do, you know, you can leave a comment. All right, but let's just change the indexes here. So here we've got the 5 names, right, you know, in the correct indexes, right, or assigned to the correct index. Now what we want to do, so here we just want to loop from 1 to 5, and then the data we want to write, well, the first time we just want to write the name. So that's going to be names and then index, yeah, index n, right? Then we actually want another WRITEFILE. And in this time, well, this can just be a random score. So again, let's just go int, right, let's go random, and let's try maybe, yeah, I think the exam question had 10,000. So let's go 10,000, right, again, we'll do the +1, just to go the range, you know, 1 to 10,000. And then, yeah, I think that should be fine. And let's just change the file name here to scores. Right, and yeah, I think we'll run that, see if it works. Right, file scores.txt doesn't exist. Okay, yeah, that's because I've got this append. So append is not going to work, you know, if the file doesn't exist. Right, so let's just go write. And yeah, okay, so here we go. Right, we have the name, then we have the score on a separate line. Right, so let's say the next thing, and we should, yeah, okay, so we still have this random numbers. So now what we can do is, well, we can practice, you know, creating a different program in order to actually read and then sum these like 100 random numbers. So I'm actually just gonna, okay, I mean, well, let's delete these. And I'm actually going to comment this because, well, we will need this again, right, in basically in this next question. But right, I mean, let's say now then this can go back to the numbers. And then if we think, well, we just want to read all of these numbers. So yeah, let me just delete this for, right, no, in fact, well, let me delete all of it. So we'll just stick with the open, right, and then also have the close file as well. Now here we need to change this to be read. Yeah, so we're opening the file in read mode. Right, now the way we can actually read this, or in fact, well, let me just show you. Let's also declare line, so this can be the line that's just been read. And what we'll do, let's say maybe read file, and let's say line, then let's go output, and we'll just go output line. So what this should do is, well, this should just read the first line, which is 45, right? Then it's just going to output here. Right, unexpected token, okay. Yeah, that's a kind of stupid mistake. So read file, of course, well, we also need the file name that we're reading from. So this is saying, well, yeah, read this file and then store the data in line, right? Which this is similar to kind of like to input, where if we have input, then we say line, where it's saying, you know, get the user input and then store the data in line. Yeah, basically it's the same. Right, so hopefully that should work now. And yeah, okay, so we see 45 here. Now what we can actually do, let's make another one. Let's call it, I don't know, like, you know, small.txt. So for example, here we'll just have maybe 3 numbers, right, just for testing purposes. And then what we can do, well, let's try and read this like 4 times. All right, so these first 3, well, this should be okay. We'll just go small. However, on this 4th one, well, probably we should get an error, because what it's going to say is, well, you know, there's only 3 lines in the file, right? If we look at this, there's only 3 lines. So when we try and read this for the 4th time, right, and yeah, let me just separate them so it's a bit easier to see. Yeah, when we try and read it for the 4th time, well, yeah, there's not going to be a line 4, basically. Okay, so yeah, here where we get read file, file small.txt has no more lines to read. So this is where we have a problem, where we need to think, well, how can we actually like read the file until the end, right? And then the way we're going to do that, basically you just have to remember this code. So we say, well, we could use not, but basically we have a function, and in fact, actually, let's also print this out as well. Right, let's go. Yeah, okay, let's go here. So if we say EOF, right, and notice how this is a function, whereas, for example, this is a keyword, right? So since this is a keyword, you know, we don't have brackets like this. However, this EOF, this is going to be a function, so it's going to be in brackets. Now, I mean, the reason why, you know, this is a keyword and this is a function, honestly, you know, that's just how Cambridge chose to do it. You know, obviously in sort of different programming languages, well, they would have different syntax. Yeah, I think there's no particular reason, you know, this is just like how Cambridge chose to implement the syntax. All right, but anyway, let's go here then. So this one's going to take the file name. So what this EOF does, well, EOF means end of file. So this will output false, right, while the cursor is not at the end of the file. So for example, let's go to this small. Now what's going to happen when we say read, you know, read file, well, that's going to read this first line, right? Then if we call end of file, well, this will say false, right? Because, you know, we're in this position here. And yeah, this is not the end of file because, well, there's still content remaining. Right, then we're going to do the next one. Yeah, let me just copy this. And yeah, let's make it bigger again. Right, you know, then we're going to read the next line. All right, then also it's going to check, well, is it the end of file? Okay, no, because there's still content to read. But yeah, of course, well, when it then gets to this one, right, then it is going to say that, okay, well, sorry, yeah, I mean, here it is then going to say the end of the file because, well, we read this, and then after this, well, there's no content remaining. So let's just run this, and yeah, okay, so we get, well, false, false, true. So what this means effectively is that, well, we just want to read the file, right, while it's not the end of the file. So in order to implement that, let's just go while, and then, I mean, we could say not like this, however, well, I'll show you 2 ways to do it. So we can say while end of file, file name equals false. Right, and then again, this do is actually optional. You know, we can have it, we can choose not to have it. I think in the old syllabus, right, they did have this do in the new pseudocode guide. So this one here, if you click on it, right, you'll notice that actually Cambridge they don't include this do. So yeah, I think it's optional, right? Although I will include it because, well, I think, yeah, there's no harm in just including it, to be honest. Right, so inside here then, let's just go read line. Sorry, okay, read file. right, then we say file name, and then, well, let's read it into this line variable. Right, then we can just go output, and let's output the line. So this should just output all of the lines, right? So 1, 2, 3, and yeah, we're not going to get this error. So let's try. And yeah, okay. So here again, I mean, here it's just reading the file. Yeah, while it's not the end of the file, basically. So while there's content remaining, right, then just keep reading. Now, I mean, this is one way you can do it, right? And another way that is probably more common is, well, we just say this. So while not end of file, right, then just, well, read the file, basically. And I mean, yeah, these are going to be equivalent, just equivalent kind of programs, really. Right, so if we think about this, what we want to do then, going back to the original challenge, right, we want to read and then sum those 100 random numbers, right, in this numbers.txt. So let's change this to numbers.txt. Now, in order to actually kind of sum or total, well, we're then just going to need to declare, and yeah, let's just declare it up here at the top. Let's say sum or total, maybe sum is okay. And right, in this case, this can be an integer because, well, all of the input numbers, they're also integers. Right, and then what we're going to do, well, we can read it into line, right, but then we need to convert this line into an integer. And well, then we want to assign it to sum. So let's say sum, right, this is then going to be string to num, and this will then be line like this. Alright, but I guess the problem with this, well, this will only kind of, this will only get the most recent number. So what we actually want is, well, the sum plus, the most recent number. And if we think about how this is going to work, then what this will do, well, right, sum is going to start at 0, and I guess, we can just declare it 0 like this. Right, so sum will start at 0, so then we're going to get, well, sum plus, and then string to num of line. Now, if you think line is going to be 1 like this, right, so the string 1. Now, I mean, of course, if we do string to num of this, well, that's then going to go to basically the integer 1. Right, so in that case, then what we've got, well, we've got 0 plus 1. Right, then, of course, it's going to go to the next loop. Well, here the sum is 1, right, then the next number is 2. So then we've got, well, 1 plus 2, of course that's going to be 3. Right, then here, on the final one, well, then we've got, what, 3, and then plus 3. So yeah, that should just be 6. And then if we just try and output that, let's go, sum is, and let's also maybe have a count, right, so a line count. And then here, let's go, right, count, and that's going to be count plus 1. And yeah, let's just initialize this to 0 as well. So let's say sum of, so we'll say, sum of 3 numbers is 6. Right, yeah, let's remember the concatenation, and here let's just go and sum. Alright, so I think this should work. And okay, alright, I mean, in this one, yes, sum of 100 is this. Yeah, now I guess that's probably true. I mean, let's try just on this small txt, just so we can actually test it. And yeah, okay, so, well, sum of, let's say 3 numbers is 6. Yeah, and then of course, if we go back to the numbers.txt, alright, then I think that should be working. Yeah, okay. Right, so let's say then we want to try this next one. So this is going to be using the scores. So here then, well, again, we've got the name, right, then we've actually got the score, and of course, yeah, name, score, and what we want to do, well, we want to create 2 arrays in order to store this. So this was why I actually didn't, like, delete this names. So let's just uncomment this, right, I'm actually just going to copy that, and here, let's call this scores, alright, and then this can just be an array of integers. And I mean, let's think what we need. So I guess the sum we don't need. However, the count we actually will need, right? Because, well, this count can be used basically as the index position. Yeah, okay. I mean, let's use this as the index position. In fact, I mean, let's just change occurrences and let's say index. Now, I mean, we could do this as a for loop. But the problem is, if we had it as a for loop, Now let's say we try, you know, for 1 to 5, or well, you know, for n assign 1 to 5. If, for example, we only have, you know, like 3 people here, well, then we're going to have the same problem where it's going to try to read from sort of, well, position 4, but, you know, there is going to be no sort of like player and score 4. So yeah, that's why if we do this, you know, while not end of file, well, that's going to be safe in terms of, like, it's not going to try to read from a line that doesn't exist. Now, we can also do something like this. Let's say and let's say index will be, yeah, I want to say what, less than the length of names. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I need length -1. I think, okay, so if we think in pseudocode, well, indexes will start at 1. So I think here, I mean, let's do, yeah, less than or equal to length of names. So what this means is that, well, if the index goes to 6, because like maybe we've got 6 lines here in the file, well, if the array size is only 5, right, then it's not going to read that 6th line in. Because I think this was also the exam question, where, for example, they would say, well, you just want an array of, well, I think they actually said 11, because you have basically the top 10 and then also the user's score, which was stored in 11. But like, let's say if there's, you know, 12 entries in the file, well, they only want you to read 11, right? So they don't want the program to crash. But anyway, right, so let's say here then, first we want to read the file. Okay, we read that into line. Now the first one should just be the player name. So what we can actually do, let's say this will be names, right, and then here, well, the index is going to be the index, right, and then here we can just store a line like this. And then what we want to do really, because we want to read 2 bits of data, right, we can then actually just call this read line again. So, okay, sorry, read file. And then, yeah, let's go file name, and let's say this can also be stored in line. And then what we need to do, well, we go scores, well, scores, and then the index is index. Right, and then just like we did before, let's go string to num, and this will be of line. Alright, so I think, yeah, this should work. And then let's try and actually just test this with a for loop. So this should say, you know, Harry scored 4,040, right? Alejandro scored, you know, 3,286. So yeah, we just want to output the name and scores. So to do that, well, let's go, yeah, just a simple for loop. All right, and hopefully you remember how we can loop through an array just by, well, you know, 1, right, to the length of the array. So let's say names, right, or I mean, you know, this one could also be scores, right, because they're both the same length. Right, let's go next then, let's go output, so let's say names, and this will be n, right, then let's say scored, and then this is going to be the scores, right, again, also index n, and yeah, let's say points like this. Alright, so I think, yeah, hopefully this should work. Yeah, let's just change this to scores. Yeah, I mean, let's give it a go, right, see if there's any mistakes. Yeah, okay. Right, so I guess here, yeah, this is working. Right, that's fine. Right, so I think, okay, yeah, just maybe 2 more of these kind of, yeah, simple, like read file, write file ones. Right, so here then we just want to copy file A and copy it into file B. So maybe we can just, yeah, maybe let's just try and copy, I mean, maybe just this one small, right, since it's, well, small, it's going to be fast. So I'm actually just going to delete everything, right, just so we can actually kind of start from scratch, just to see if people can remember how to do it. Right, so the first one, well, let's go declare. And okay, all right, what I'm actually going to do, let's create a file called A, yeah, a.txt, and I don't know, let's go ABCDE. Right, okay, something simple like that. So let's say file, maybe, yeah, file A, right, let's also go file B, right, these are both going to be of type strings. Then let's just declare this, so this will be a.txt, right, file B, well, this can just be b.txt. Right, and then what we can then do, so here we just want to open both the files at the same time. So let's go open file A, right? Then we say this, and this should then be for read. All right, we can also then go open file, and let's go file B, right? But this one we can open for write. And then what we want to do, well, we just need to remember how we can read the file. So let's create another variable here, just call it line, right? A string variable. And we'll just say while not end of file, and this is going to be file A, right? Let's also say do. Right, then what we can then do, let's read this file, and we're going to read file A, and right, we can store that in line. Right, then we can then just write this, and yeah, we're going to write this into file B. All right, and then I think, yeah, I think that should be fine. Right, well then let's just close them. So close file A and close file B. Yeah, I think pretty simple code. Let's check there's no mistakes. Okay, so we've got, yeah, we see A is this, and B, yeah, okay, so B also seems the same. Alright, so this one's actually surprisingly simple, but I guess the key thing to note is, well, we can open, multiple files at the same time. Because I guess I have seen it where some people, they've tried to read all of this, and well, maybe they can read it into a string. For example, let's say we do something like this. Maybe this can be like all content or something. So this will be all the content of file A. Now what we can then do, let's say we can then go all content, and this will be all content, right? And then and the line. And probably what we should do is let's go, yeah, we'll just have a new line character like this. So this means that, when it gets written, well, then it will also get written kind of with a new line like this. Right, and then if we just try and, yeah, maybe then we can just copy this. And, again, right, this is not a good way to do it, but yeah, this is how I've seen some people try to do it. Right, then probably we can just go WRITEFILE, file B, and then here we just want to go all content, and yeah, then just close file. Now let's try and delete this, and we're also just going to initialize all content, right, just as being an empty string. Now I think, this is going to have an extra new line at the end, right, which you see here we don't get that, but yeah, let's just run this and see if it works. Right, so yeah, just a stupid mistake. I just paused the video to try and fix it. Looking at this, well, again, we can see, right, possible dead code, and the reason for that is, well, here I've just forgot this ampersand. Now, if we have this, right, okay, now you can see, well, yeah, A, right, and also B, yeah, they've both got, just let's say, kind of each letter on a new line, basically. Okay, so let's look at the next challenge we want to do. So what we want to do then, well, we just want to get the letter frequencies of each letter, right, in the English alphabet, or I guess really each letter, in the English dictionary. So if we just look here at the dictionary TXT, right, then of course, well, here we see, right, A, right, then another A, I guess, yeah, another A. So of course at this point, well, we've got 4 A's, right, then we get 1 R, 1 D, 1 V. So yeah, basically just counting the frequencies, of all the letters. For all the words. Right, so in order to do that, well, let's just do what we've done before. And yeah, let me move that up a little bit. Right, so let's go declare, then let's declare the file name, and here let's say this will be of type string. Right, let's also declare the line, because I think we can do that now as well. Right, now let's just say the file name, and this will then be dictionary.txt. And yeah, okay, so I think now probably let's just try and read the file. Right, let's just check if this works. Right, so while not end of file, file name, let's also have the do, right, then we'll have the end while. And then like we've done before, well, let's go read file, right, well, the name will be, stored in the file name variable. And then we just want to read this into the line variable. Now, if we just output line, this should actually work here. So yeah, let's just give this a go. Alright, so yeah, this will take a little while to run because I think there's like maybe 30,000 words. Okay, okay, so it would work if I open the file. Right, let's say open file, and then this is going to be for read. Yeah, and let's also remember just to close the file, right, just while we're at it. And yeah, here we go. Okay, so yeah, we see this kind of successfully works. And it gets down to about, okay, so it gets down to, yeah, P. But yeah, we do get this, exceeded, the maximum execution time of 5 seconds. Now, if we want to turn this off, well, we just go here to the settings cog, right, we can obviously make this higher. We can also set it to -1, right, that will just disable this check. But yeah, I think actually for us it's fine, because when we disable or when we kind of remove this output, it's actually going to be a lot faster. Right, so now then we just want to think, well, I mean, here we're looping through all of the words, right, but then, to kind of count the letter frequencies, we need to actually loop through, each individual letter. Right, so in order to do that, well, just like we did for an array, we can just go for. Right, we can start here at n. Right, let's assign this to 1, and let's go to the length of the line. Right, then let's say next n, and right then what we're going to have to do, I mean, we just want to check, for example, if it's a valid, let's say like a valid alphabetic character. And I think we want this to be case insensitive, right? So big A and small a, they should be considered the same. So probably the easiest way to do that, well, I mean, we could actually use let's say L case inside here. So we could go something like L case, right? And this can convert one character to lowercase. However, I think here we can actually just go line like this, and let's go to lower, and let's say of line, right? So here this will convert the whole line to lowercase in one go. Right, and then what we're going to do, yeah, we then just want to check, is it like a valid lowercase letter? Because if we actually look at some of these, I think for example this, right, we have this E with an accent. Now basically we can just ignore this, right? We don't really want to count this. Because there's going to be so many different accents, right? It's going to be too difficult. Likewise, here we've got some hyphen, right? And I guess there might be some other. Yeah, I think I even saw some numbers somewhere. Yeah, I think somewhere, there's also some numbers, and yeah, who knows what, to be honest. Right, so in order to check if it's a valid lowercase character, well, probably let's just declare maybe current char. Right, this is obviously going to be a char. Right, then in order to get the current character, well, we can just use mid. So let's say current char, and this is going to be mid. Right, the string, well, that's going to be this line. Right, then we're going to say the starting position will be n. Right, and then we're going to get one character. So hopefully you're kind of familiar with this from the previous lessons. However, if you're not, well, okay, so yeah, we're basically getting a sort of substring, right, from this line. The starting position is going to be n, right? So we see here n starts at 1. So I mean, let's try this. Actually, maybe let's try like abandoned here like this. So here we start at character 1, and then it says, well, get one character. So that's just going to be this A, right? Then on the next loop, well, n is then going to be 2. So here, right, the starting position is going to be 2. So that's going to start on this B, right? Again, it's only going to get one character. So of course that's just going to get this B. Right, then of course it's going to get 3, right, so it's going to get the A, right, then 4 for n. Yeah, and obviously so on. Right, so in order to check this, I mean, there's a few ways we can check. We could actually go if ASCII of current char, and then let's think this should be greater than or equal to 97, right, because this here would be small a. And then we want and the ASCII of current char, and this should be less than or equal to 122. And actually let's just output this just to check if it's working. So yeah, I think this logic should work, so let's test it. And yeah, okay, so we can see here, right, so AA, I think, yeah, I mean, the first word kind of strangely is literally just AA. Right, then I guess here we've got aardvark, yeah, then we've got this back, okay, so right, this seems to be working. Right, now, I mean, we can do it like this using this ASCII. However, something I see other people doing is, well, we can just go like this. So we say if the current char is greater than or equal to small a, and then likewise, let's say current char is going to be less than or equal to small z. right? And I think probably this is more readable, to be honest. And of course, we can also use this for numbers, for example. So if we want to check, is it a valid number? Well, we just do this. Right, okay. So I think once we've got this, then we just need to think, well, how can we store the count? Now, I mean, if you're using like a real programming language, well, you could use a data structure like, well, let's say a dictionary, right? I mean, that's what they call it in Cambridge. I guess in Python it's also called a dictionary, right? In Java it would be a hash map. I guess, yeah, other languages, right? JavaScript would be an object. PHP, associative array. But I mean, yeah, whatever you want to call it, where you have keys and then each key has an associated value, right? So I mean, you could use that if you want. However, in pseudocode, well, we're not going to have a dictionary like that. So what we can actually use is just kind of a nice, simple array, because this is going to be a continuous or sort of contiguous sequence. So let's just go declare, and let's say this can be, let's move the mouse, right? Let's say letter frequencies. And this is going to be array, right, with the index, or with the indices, right, 1 to 26, and this is going to be of integer, because what we're saying is, well, let's say small a can be index 1, right, small z is going to be index 26. So what we then want to do, well, we just want to increment this letter frequencies, and we'll increment the index of that particular character. So if we go letter frequencies. Now let's think, we want this small a to map to position 1, right, then small b position 2, right, yeah, obviously, etc. So the way we can do that is, well, let's use the ASCII function. That's going to be the ASCII of current char. Now this here is going to be 97, right, but of course, well, yeah, we just want to map this 97 back to 1. Now, I mean, honestly, we could just do, like minus 97. But in that case, we would have to make the dimension 0 to 25. Now, in pseudocode, I think usually, they kind of like starting at 1, to be honest. So yeah, if we do want, 1 to 26, well, of course, we can just do 97 plus 1. Yeah, or, kind of, well, more easily, just minus 96. All right, so yeah, that should work. And then let's just copy this, because, well, here we're just incrementing. So we're just going to assign it and then just plus 1 like this. Alright, and I think, yeah, I think that should work. So let's just try and output here. So what we want to output is, well, basically the letter and then the count of how many of, that particular letter. So what we're going to do, well, we're just going to loop from 1, right, or for 1. And then, well, I mean, we could just go 26 because I guess, well, 26 letters in the English alphabet. That's the dimensions, or the size of our array. However, I mean, I'm just going to use the length of the array because, well, if you're using, different languages, there's going to be different dimensions. Yeah, I guess, different number of characters in the alphabet. Right, so that's going to be the length of letter frequencies. Again, let's just go next n. And then what we're just going to say is, let's say output, right, then we want CHR, and this can then be n, right, but then think this n is going to be 1. But, well, here we just want to do the opposite, right? So we want to go from 1, right, to 97. So here, if we just go plus 96, right, that should work. Then I'm just going to concatenate with the colon, right? And then let's say here, this should just be letter frequencies n. And yeah, obviously n, well, this is going to be 1, right, which should just be a. So yeah, I think that should work. So let's try it. And I guess, yeah, if there's bugs, we can try and fix it. Alright, no. So I'm trying to think, I mean, I think, yeah, in English, E is the most common. So, I mean, here, yeah, 26,000. Yeah, I think T is maybe the second most common. I mean, it seems in ours it's I. Yeah, but no, I think this seems correct, right? So E is pretty common, and then if we go, so I mean, J, there's not many. Surprisingly, there's actually more Zs than Js. But yeah, I mean, this seems to work, and I guess J is actually the least common, or okay, no, Q actually. Yeah, okay, alright, so I think this is working. Alright, so I mean, hopefully you're sort of more comfortable with these now. Again, just write file, obviously append. Now, if we want to append, well, we just change the file mode to append. and then well likewise just read file, again just using while not end of file, and then just read file inside that while loop. Right, so let's now look at this random files, and this will be if we want to put data at a specific sort of say byte position right inside the file, and of course we can also read from a specific byte position inside the file. Now again, this is only for A-level, so if you're doing IG, just kind of skip this if you don't want to watch it. But let's go ahead right for A-level. So again, actually, let's just go declare, let's say file name, and maybe let's just call this test or something, or maybe like random. Again, let's call it random.dat, like random.data. Some other people, they would call it bin, like a binary file, but let's just call it data. Right, and then what we can do, let's also create two strings. So let's say here we've got x and y. And let's say x, like we can see here, right? So x, we're just going to assign pseudocode. Right, and then let's say y, and let's just go pro. Right, and then if we just want to write these, again, let's just go open file. Right, it's going to be the file name. Then this time we're going to say for random. Right, and then here, then we can just seek. So this will say, go to this specific position in the file. So I'm just going to say seek to position 1. And in fact, sorry, let's go file name. All right, then position 1. Right, then what we can do, then we can just go then we can go put record. So here again, we say, file name. Right, and then I think, that's all we need actually. Right, and then what we can do, let's just copy this, and here, okay, sorry, this should be put record x. Right, then we just seek to position 2, and let's put the record y. All right, and I think, let's just close, and then we'll test that. Okay, unexpected seek. Okay, so here, I guess here we also need the file name. And let's also have the file name here. And okay, so we can see this here. Alright, so here it just tells us, random file storing 2 records. However, like editing of random files isn't supported. Right, because if you think this would just be, basically it would just be sort of like nonsense, binary data. There would be all kinds of like null characters and like non-printable characters. So this is not supposed to be a human readable format. Right, but anyway, so then if we think, let's try and actually read from these. So maybe let's make another 2 variables. Let's just call it A and B. And then what we're going to do, let's also open for random. But this time, let's maybe change the order. So let's say first we just want to seek from position 2. Right, so this will mean read the data at position 2. Right, then let's go get record. Right, we're going to get the record from file name, and let's store this in variable A. Alright, and then let's just copy this. And to be honest, I'm not sure if this should be random or if it should be read. I guess we can just check. Right, so then we just want to read from position 1. Right, okay, so we're going to seek to position 1, and then get record. Right, this can then be stored in stored in the variable B. And let's say here, let's just go output, and right, let's just go A and B. So this should actually say, pro, right, then pseudocode. So it's going to be the reverse order, because what we're saying is kind of like move the file cursor to position 2, and then obviously read the data in position 2. Alright, then it's going to say move the cursor to position 1, and then read the data at position 1. So right, let's try and run this. Okay, and this works here. So obviously this is a little bit more complex, but hopefully it does make sense. Now, so you could do something like maybe in a for loop, where if you have an array of, I don't know, like 100 names, or I guess 100 numbers or anything, And then basically, I mean, you can just kind of increment this seek, based on like an array counter variable. And then what you want to do is, well, if you want to read like a specific, say, entry from that position, well, then you just seek to the position you want, right? Then just use GETRECORD, right, to read from that position. So yeah, I mean, let's just try that here. So, I mean, rather than just creating a string, right, let's create something more complex like a type. So yeah, let's just say type, right, this can be game, and yeah, this can store details about sort of computer games or whatever. Right, then let's go end type, and let's say each game, we're going to say, well, it's going to have a name, a price, and then I guess, well, an array of genres. So let's say name, right, this is going to be of type string, price, I guess this can be real, and all right, let's say genres, and maybe let's just say this can be an array, and yeah, let's say, I don't know, maybe let's say, yeah, just 2 genres, and to be honest, I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm just going to say string. Now, if you wanted, you could make this an enum or something, but yeah, let's say just for simplicity, right, we'll just make it a string, just so we can easily, print it out. Right, and then let's just actually delete this stuff that we don't need, and we'll also call this games.data, or yeah, games.dat. Right, and yeah, I'm just going to delete this, so we'll just start from scratch. Now let's first actually just assign some details to these games. So let's say maybe declare, right, I'm just going to say FIFA, right, and then this can be of type game, and let's go FIFA, right, this can then be name, okay, sorry, FIFA.name, right, this is going to be FIFA, right, let's go FIFA.price, and yeah, I don't know, this can be, I mean, I guess it's quite expensive, maybe 59. Obviously, yeah, it depends on what currency you're using. Right, then hang on. All right, let's go FIFA.genres, and right, this can be index 1. I guess this can be sport. And yeah, let's just copy this. Okay, there we go. And I don't know, maybe action. Yeah, possibly action, or yeah, maybe management on career mode. Right, so let's actually just copy this. Let's go maybe, yeah, AOE, right, Age of Empires, and yeah, maybe let's make that 4. Right, and to be honest, yeah, I mean, okay, let's just make it lowercase. Right, I'm just going to copy this, just update these. Let's say AOE 4. Right, I mean, the price, maybe it's going to be a little cheaper, maybe 49. And I guess, I don't know, like battle, or yeah, I'm not really sure what genre you would consider that, kind of, yeah, military or something. Yeah, I suppose wait, strategy probably. Yeah, so strategy and maybe simulation, yeah, like possibly. Alright, so let's test if this works. So what we can do is we just want to create a procedure that can actually take a game and then just, output the details about that. So let's go, in fact, I mean, yeah, maybe let's just do it here at the bottom. So let's go procedure, I mean, maybe let's say output game details. Right, this is then going to take a game as a parameter. Right, then let's go end procedure. And yeah, okay, let's just say output. Right, and then here let's go game.name. Yeah, let's say right, costs, and then it's going to be the price, so game.price, right, and is, yeah, I know, like, and is the genres, like, yeah, strategy and simulation or something. Right, so this is going to be game.genres, and then index 1, right, then let's say and we'll say game.genres, yeah, index 2. Alright, and then I think that should work, and let me just minimize that. Okay, so let's just call this then to test if it's working. Yeah, I'm going to call it before we declare this file name, although, yeah, probably I'm going to move this around in a little bit. Right, so let's say output game details, and let's go FIFA, and then let's just copy it, just, check both of them. And here, this is going to be what, AOE, yeah, okay, AOE 4, and yeah, let's give this a go. Yeah, okay, so right, I think this seems to be working. Now, right, let's move this up to the top, probably. Yeah, maybe let's just, yeah, okay, let's put it here or something. Yeah, okay, yeah, I think that's fine. Right, so now then probably, yeah, maybe let's just comment this. And what we can do, well, let's just write these games to a file. So, right, let's say, okay, we have the file name. Yeah, right, so let's just open the file. This is going to be, okay, file name. Yeah, okay, file name. Right, then we just say for, and this is going to be for random. Right, then what we can do, in fact, okay, let's also create an array of games. Yeah, okay, then we can just loop through. So let's go declare, and this will be, yeah, let's call it games. This can be an array. Right, this will just be 1 to 2 of. Right, and then that's going to be of game. Right, so the first one here, then we want to go, right, games, and then this will be index 1, and let's put FIFA. Right, then let's say games index 2, and that is going to be, yeah, Age of Empires 4. Right, and then so here, let's just loop through, so let's say for n, or, you know, we could call it game number, or n, that's fine. Right, so this will be 1, and then 2, the length of games. Right, let's go next n. And then so here, right, this is where we can use seek. And right, let's say file name, and then we're going to seek to position n. So yeah, this will put, you know, FIFA in sort of position 1 in the file, and then we're AOE4 in position 2 in the file. Right, and then let's go, yeah, put record. So we then say file name, and then we say games, and then this will be index n. Yeah, okay, so let's try and run this and check if it works. Okay, right, games.data was not closed. Yeah, it seems right. It seems I deleted that close. I mean, well, let's just put it here after the for loop. That's fine. So this can then be, yeah, close file name. And all right, I mean, again, it seems, yeah, if we just look here at this games.data, again, a random file storing 2 records, right? So it seems that probably worked. Now, what we can then do. Right, I'm actually just going to copy this, and let's try and actually, yeah, let's actually make like a completely new file. Let's call it read random, because obviously the whole point of this is that, well, you would save it in order to, I don't know, maybe like at the end of the day, or, you know, just to, like as a kind of backup or something, and then, you know, with like another program, you would be able to read in this data. So yeah, what we can then do, let's say, right, we can delete these games. Right, so we're still going to need this type because, well, we can read it, you know, into this type kind of data structure. Oh yeah, type record. Right, so yeah, we want the file name. Yeah, we want this array. Right, let's say we're going to comment, or well, we're just going to delete those. Right, so here then what we're going to do, we're just going to, yeah, okay, so we're going to say, yeah, that's fine. Although this one, let's just say 2. Because, yeah, well, I mean, here we just want to loop right from 1 to 2, since we've got 2 games. And then, yeah, we should be able to just do this. So, right, and yeah, here we've got this game still. Right, that's fine. Right, I mean, so if we just uncomment these, then, well, I'll test it in a minute, but hopefully, well, again, we're just going to declare the file name, right, that's fine. Right, then we're going to create, again, well, an array with, you know, 2 elements, right, this is going to be of type game. Right, of course, well, then we're just opening it for random, right, well, then here we're just going to loop from 1 to 2, right, we're then going to go to position, well, okay, we're going to go to position 1 first, right, and then let's just make this get record. And then it should just, well, it should just kind of, yeah, load the record, you know, at position 1. And then it's just going to put it in, well, games and then index 1. Right, and then if we just go here, let's go games, and this will be index 1. And let's say games and index 2. And of course, if we want, you know, we can also put this in a loop. So yeah, let's just maybe copy one of these. Alright, so let's go. Yeah, let's go 4, let's go n, right, this can be 1, and then 2 the length of games. And I suppose, you know, we can also make this length of games if we want. Right, then let's go next n, and here then let's just call this, and here we're just going to output yeah, games n, and let's just go yeah, okay. I suppose since this is a procedure, I mean, alright, maybe let's make it a function, then we can actually kind of have, yeah, then we can actually go something like this. Let's go output, we'll say game, right, and we'll say, you know, game 1 and then FIFA, right, game 2, yeah, Age of Empires. So let's go n, right, we can then make this, yeah, let's have a colon like this, right, and then I think that should be fine. And then if we just go, okay, let's go returns, and this will be string. Right, let's make this end function, and let's just make this return. Yeah, so I think this should work. Right, so let's just test it. And yeah, okay, so obviously we see this works. Right, so this is the kind of key thing that obviously, well, we, you know, if we've got any sort of data structure, so I mean, well, it could be a simple primitive, you know, strings, integers, right, booleans, but you know, it can also be, for example, like records, right, so types. Yeah, and I think this should also work with classes. Yeah, so I think this should work with, you know, classes, enum, sets. Now, if it's a real programming language, you know, I mean, yeah, they should work, right? You know, for this website, honestly, you know, you can test it with classes. I think it should work. I've not tested that yet, but yeah, I guess that's something that I can test in the future. But anyway, the key point is, of course, well, we can, you know, we can save that data, and then of course we can load it in, you know, say in a different program, for example. All right, so well, hopefully this class was, you know, useful. Obviously we've covered a lot, you know, well, read file, write file, append, random files. Again, anyone have any questions, well, just leave a comment on YouTube. And yeah, hope to see you in the next video. All right, thanks.